We always talked about the big earthquake that was going to come, and so far it hasn't happened, but someday it certainly could, and you never know the threat we could have from terrorists. When it comes to natural disasters and things like that, we need to, of course, work with our first responders, but if it's a big disaster, there's probably not going to be enough people to go around, so it's good for us to be prepared.
The importance of this event is that we need to be prepared for a disaster. Whether we're a business or a church or school, we need to be prepared.
If you're prepared at home and at work, then ultimately you're going to do what the ultimate mission of this diocese is, which is stewardship and service delivery after an emergency.
Had the faith-based organizations not been as coordinated, had emergency communications, had their training, and been linked together, more people at Katrina would have died.
Well, what impresses me is that there's different denominations at this particular event in one place, which is very hard to get, and the amount of information that is given to all of these organizations, these denominations, is bar one.
Disasters are on the rise. In the decade between 2001 and 2010, 21 million people were affected by disaster in the United States. That's a lot of people. That's 5 times as many people as were affected in the previous decade. That goes a long way to dispelling the myth that, oh, it'll never happen to me, or it'll never happen here. In California, only 6% of us feel like we're prepared for disasters and emergencies. That's pathetic.
Well, for me, the importance of it is just to be able to hear from other entities, churches, and governing bodies as well on their approach to disaster preparedness. And so I think just being around other people that are sort of in that process, some much further ahead and some about the same place, has been encouraging.
I'd gone through all that in 1989. You would have thought that I would have maybe had an earthquake in the back of my mind. Well, I didn't. And so along comes August 24th of 2014, and both my wife and I are sound asleep. It's about 3:20 in the morning. This tremendous rocking motion hit the house. Immediately, we awoke. I remember putting my left hand over on my wife's arm, and I said, just stay still. And we stayed in bed and just rode out the rocking. Everything was rumbling. We could hear things breaking all over the house. When the rumbling stopped, no electricity, there were no lights, we couldn't see anything. And so what do we do when we have no lights, no electricity, and can't see anything? What do we all have beside our beds? These little babies. I got to my cell phone, turned on the flashlight app, and you know what? That's probably about the worst thing you can do, because only about 10 minutes into that, your battery runs dry, and that means this thing is worthless to really do what you want to do, and that's make some phone calls. I had no idea that Napa sat on or close to 3 major faults. I was clueless, and it's scary. Because as bad as that 6.0 quake was, it's probably not going to be the last. Neither is it going to be the worst.
What's most impressive is having government, having state, local, federal representatives in one room alongside church community. In a time of an emergency, we want there to be unity, we want there to be communication, collaboration, coordination, all those things, and having them in one room is a really good thing.
Yes, one day the San Andreas Fault is going to shake, but we have disasters every day. There's blue skies out there right now, but somewhere there may be a disaster and you don't even know it.